The world's truly terrifying eras do not always last for decades. Sometimes absolute royal power vanishes in the blink of an eye. Today we glimpse into the minds of history's shortest reigning monarchs. We will explore rulers who sat on the throne for a mere month before losing their crowns. We will witness infant kings who reigned for a few days and emperors who died within hours of coronation. Finally, we will reveal a royal monarch whose entire historical reign lasted exactly 20 minutes. Before we dive in, please like and subscribe to Stickman Chronicles right now. Hitting that big subscribe button helps us bring you more high-quality history videos. Do not forget to turn on notification bell for your daily history fix. Let us start our global journey in modern Europe with the brief rule of King Umberto II of Italy. The terrifying situation unfolded right at the catastrophic end of the Second World War. His father had completely ruined the reputation of the monarchy by supporting a fascist dictator for decades. Umberto inherited a completely broken and heavily bombed nation that was deeply furious with the royal family. He tried desperately to campaign across the country to save the ancient throne from complete abolition. The citizens were forced to vote in a massive national referendum to choose between a republic or the crown. He ruled for exactly 34 days before the final ballot results completely stripped him of his title. He famously became known as the May King because his entire reign began and ended in the spring. He calmly packed his bags and went into permanent exile, proving that democracy can dismantle centuries of royal tradition overnight. Our next glimpse into fleeting power erupts in the massive Ming Dynasty under Emperor Taizong. He spent his entire adult life surviving brutal palace assassination plots and waiting patiently for his paranoid father to die. When he finally ascended the dragon throne, he immediately abolished heavy taxes and filled top positions with brilliant scholars. The citizens rejoiced, believing they were entering a brand new golden age of absolute imperial prosperity. However, the emperor suddenly fell violently ill with severe stomach cramps just days after his grand coronation. A corrupt palace official handed him a mysterious red pill, claiming it was a magical elixir of absolute immortality. The desperate emperor swallowed the pill and died instantly after ruling for a mere 29 days. His sudden death triggered a massive internal political crisis known historically as the case of the red pills. It proved that a lifetime of patient waiting can be completely erased by a single poison medicine. Moving to medieval France, we find the tragic and bizarre reign of the infant king John I. He is entirely unique in global history because he was officially declared the undisputed king from the exact moment of his birth. His father had tragically passed away, leaving the royal succession completely dependent on the pregnant queen. When the royal baby boy was born, the entire kingdom celebrated the continuation of the ancient bloodline. The newborn king spent his entire reign wrapped completely in heavy silk blankets inside a heavily guarded royal nursery. He never issued a single decree, never held a sword, and never even opened his eyes to see his massive kingdom. His tiny, fragile body succumbed to a sudden unknown fever exactly 5 days after he was born. His ambitious uncle immediately seized the empty throne amidst dark rumors of secret royal poisonings. His reign remains the ultimate historical masterclass in how fragile biological fate dictates the destiny of entire empires. The absolute destruction of royal dreams continued under the highly destructive 3-day reign of Emperor Duk Duk. He inherited the massive imperial throne of Vietnam during a period of extreme political instability and foreign invasion. During his lavish coronation ceremony, he made a completely fatal political error by altering the traditional sacred rituals. He foolishly ignored the strict mourning period for the previous emperor and openly drank wine and partied with his friends. The powerful royal court officials were absolutely horrified by his complete lack of traditional religious respect. They immediately drafted a secret petition accusing the new emperor of extreme moral depravity and treason. Before he could even move his belongings into the main palace chambers, the royal guard stormed his quarters. He was officially deposed after exactly 3 days and thrown into a dark starvation cell where he miserably perished. He completely bankrupted his political capital and lost an entire empire simply for throwing a premature party. Traveling to the modern Himalayas, we witnessed the brutal and highly tragic reign of King Dipendra of Nepal. The ambitious crown prince became deeply enraged when his parents completely forbade him from marrying his chosen girlfriend. During a lavish royal family dinner, he armed himself with multiple automatic assault rifles and walked into the dining hall. He unleashed absolute hell, ordering his weapons upon his own family members in a massive fit of blind rage. He systematically massacred his father, the ruling king, his mother, and multiple siblings in a single bloody evening. After completing the horrific slaughter, the prince turned the weapon on himself and fired a bullet into his own brain. He slipped into a deep, irreversible medical coma while the completely shocked nation frantically tried to maintain order. Because his father was dead, the Constitution automatically declared the comatose assassin as the brand new king of Nepal. He officially reigned as an unconscious monarch on life support for 3 days before finally succumbing to his wounds. His incredible royal legacy was built entirely on the broken bones of his own innocent family members. Before we reveal the final 5 shortest reigns in history, please like this video and subscribe to Stickman Chronicles. Your daily support helps us spend more time researching these incredible historical survival stories. Leave a comment right below about which fleeting monarchy has shocked you the most so far. Deep in the snowy plains of Russia, a moment of terror emerges under the theoretical reign of Tsar Michael II. The massive Romanov dynasty was completely collapsing under the heavy weight of the bloody Russian Revolution. Tsar Nicholas was forced to abdicate his absolute throne and frantically pass the imperial crown to his younger brother Michael. Michael woke up to find himself officially declared the supreme emperor of one of the largest nations on earth. He looked out his window and saw massive armed crowds of furious revolutionaries completely burning the capital city to ash. He realized that accepting the crown was a literal absolute death sentence for himself and his entire family. He drafted a rapid manifesto, refusing to accept the supreme power unless it was granted by a democratic assembly. His entire technical reign as the last Tsar of Russia lasted for roughly 16 extremely terrifying hours. He was eventually arrested and executed anyway, proving that trying to refuse absolute power does not always save your life. The sheer horror escalates in ancient China with the magnificent and tragic brevity of Emperor Mo of Jin. His besieged capital city was completely surrounded by massive aggressive hordes of unstoppable Mongol cavalry forces. The ruling emperor realized the city walls were completely failing and the empire was entirely doomed to fall within hours. He desperately wanted to avoid the absolute historical humiliation of being captured and tortured as a sitting emperor. He physically forced his supreme military commander to accept the imperial jade seal and take the throne immediately. The terrified general was officially crowned as Emperor Mo, while flaming Mongol arrows rained directly into the palace courtyard. Literally 2 hours after the hasty coronation ceremony, the massive city gates were completely shattered by the enemy. The brand new emperor drew his sword and charged directly into the violent street fighting, where he was hacked to pieces. The absolute sheer horror of the bloody display ended the entire Ming Dynasty in less than a single afternoon. Across the vast open oceans, the absolute brutal naval supremacy of Britain ended the reign of Sultan Khalid of Zanzibar. When the previous ruler died, Khalid immediately seized the massive coastal palace and declared himself the supreme absolute sultan. The British Empire completely rejected his aggressive power grab and demanded he evacuate the throne room immediately. Khalid foolishly refused, believing his small personal guard and ancient cannons could withstand a modern global superpower. The British admiral calmly positioned 5 massive heavily armored warships directly in the harbor facing the wooden palace. At exactly 9 in the morning, the British warships unleashed an absolute industrial-scale artillery barrage upon the building. The heavy explosive shells completely shredded the royal palace, dropping the defensive walls into burning piles of rubble instantly. Exactly 38 minutes later, the Sultan's forces completely surrendered and Khalid fled out the back door into exile. This incredibly violent dispute is historically recognized as the shortest recorded war in the entire history of human civilization. The blueprint of sudden royal tragedy was perfected on the crowded streets of Lisbon with King Luís Felipe of Portugal. The royal family was riding through the city in an open carriage, completely unaware of a massive Republican assassination plot. Suddenly, armed gunmen stepped out from the cheering crowds and unleashed absolute terror into the royal carriage. The ruling King Carlos was shot in the neck and died instantly on the cobblestone street. Because the king was dead, the Constitution immediately elevated the bleeding crown prince to the position of supreme monarch. Luís Felipe managed to draw his own revolver and fired back at the assassins before taking a fatal bullet to the chest. He slumped over in the carriage, bleeding heavily, while the royal guards frantically rushed the vehicle to a nearby arsenal. He survived for exactly 20 minutes as the undisputed king of Portugal before taking his absolute final breath. His fleeting 20-minute reign is a terrifying historical masterclass in how political violence can rewrite an entire royal lineage. Finally, we arrive at the absolute peak of historical brevity with the ridiculous reign of King Louis XIX of France. The massive July Revolution of 1830 had completely overrun the streets of Paris with angry armed citizens. His father, King Charles X, was forced to sign a formal document of absolute abdication to save his own life. The exact moment the ink dried on the paper, his son Louis technically became the absolute reigning king of France. However, the brand new king spent his entire 20-minute reign locked in a room listening to his wife screaming at him. She violently demanded that he keep the crown and order the military to completely crush the massive peasant rebellion. Louis was absolutely terrified of suffering the exact same bloody guillotine fate as his historical ancestors. He completely ignored his angry wife, picked up a quill, and formally abdicated his own crown just 20 minutes after receiving it. This unmatched speed of surrender makes him the undisputed record holder for the shortest royal reign in human history. These gripping narratives prove that human resourcefulness can shatter the strongest chains on Earth completely. Please make sure to like this video and subscribe to Stickman Chronicles right now. See you tomorrow as we upload high-quality history videos every single day without fail.